moving further, we now move on to a topic of paramount importance in today's education landscape, which is the integration of data and analytics into education. Joining us on this panel discussion, we have Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Pro-Chancellor, Chitkara University. Dr. Madhu, an academician and an edupreneur extraordinaire, co-founded Chitkara Educational Trust in 1998 and with a vision to impart quality education to seekers in the region. May I invite Dr. Madhu on stage, please? Our second panelist, Dr. Rekha Kashyap, Dean CSE AI, KIET Group of Institutions. Dr. Rekha Kashyap is a distinguished academic and industry leader with 30 years of experience in computer science. Under her leadership, the institution has bridged the gap between academia and industry, creating a dynamic educational environment. I welcome you, Dr. Rekha. And joining them on stage is Mr. Rohit Sobti, Regional Sales Manager, Emerging Fortinet. Mr. Sobti is an accomplished leader at Fortinet, commanding the helm of enterprise business across North and East India, Nepal, and Bhutan. With around 2 decades of unwavering dedication to cybersecurity, he has been embodying excellence in key account management, revenue augmentation, and sales leadership. I welcome all the panelists on stage, and the session will be moderated by Mr. Dhaval Gupta, Managing Director, CyberMedia, who has played a pivotal role in establishing CyberMedia as a leading digital services setup. Over to you, Dhaval.
Thank you. Is my mic on? Yeah, okay. Everybody can hear me in the back? Okay, great. So it's really a pleasure to be here conducting this particular panel because this particular topic is something that is close to my heart. I spend a fair amount of time in data analytics, machine learning, AI, from an education point of view, we keep hearing about how this is such a bringing about such a change. And to have this esteemed panel, we've got almost a century of experience in education here, So, I think at the ground level, what's happening, hopefully we'll get some very interesting insights and comments, and I'm pretty much sure of it. All right, and with that, I'd like to get things kicked off. And Dr. Chitkara, I'd like to come to you first. Data analytics is something that is being talked about frequently. It is something that is changing the game. It's been doing that for a while. And I'd like your inputs on how Chitkara University envisions the role of data analytics in shaping the future of higher education in India.
Thank you, Dhaval. And thanks to DataQuest for making us a part of it. And from morning and from the keynote speakers, I think you all were listening to them, and 90% of their talk was about data. And now this is up to us sitting in this room and in this hall, that how we have to analyze that data which they have given to us. And I think that was so pertinent, and that was connected to the whole NEP 2020. So all the data was there and all the verticals were touched. So I think this is a need of the hour for the institutes like us, the higher education, even to the school education also, to talk about the data and how we are using at Chitkara. I will tell you one very good example, and there is My Anatomy is there. We were using their platform also for assessment. So how we did that, when the question papers are made, I will give you a very small example, a very practical example, that how we are using that data and how we are analyzing that and how it is effectively changing the mindset of the students as well as the mentors. So everybody knows about the Bloom's taxonomy. So when we are making the question papers, first of all, we check that question paper using the Bloom's taxonomy, that whether all the verticals of Bloom's taxonomy are there in that question paper, questions connected to the application type, connected to skill types, connected to the experiential. So I think those, all the data are there. Then we release that question paper to the students. And after the evaluation is done, and from consecutive 2-3 papers, we are able to see that which is the content which is not very clear to the students. So from that analysis, we are able to change the next papers. So I think these are the small steps which all of us can do. And the second thing which I think is very pertinent and everybody is doing it, so when we take the data, administratively also it is used, and we are able to save so much of cost. So we have our own ERP system, which is ChalkPad Pro, and we are using it, and our campus is all digital. So we are using it for the last 20 years. It is our homemade ERP. And during those sessions, when we are giving the knowledge of ERP to our professors and to the students also, so from day one, whatever the problems and whatever the solutions are to be given, it is through ERP. And that is ChalkPad. So I think in these ways, we can take the data and analyze.
For the ERP, could you give an example of, one perhaps data point that has really made a impact and administratively?
Yes. So I will tell you one point that there was, we gave the budgets to all the deans. And we said that when you are starting this session, just give the raw, you can say that not very particularly that this much is to be used or this much is to be invested, but whatever is in your mind that this will be a cost for my department, you just put it on the ChalkPad, right? So they do it. Yeah. And after the semester, always there is a change because they are the academicians. They are not into business and they are not business minded also, and they don't know how to go for the financing of this thing. Right. So they say that, okay, for technology, put 1 CR for this, and for the administrative purposes, okay, 10 lakhs will be okay. But sometimes it happens when we analyze the data, and consequently that one particular department is using technology for 10 lakhs, and maybe administrative purposes 1 crore. So this way, analyzing the data, the department also knows, and that is a self-analysis, and they are able to evaluate themselves that how good or how bad they were in giving the budgeting. So this is the...
And I think many people in the room probably struggle with something.
So we are always, we teachers, hardcore teachers are always struggling with the finance, and we don't know. So that is why we want the people like both of you to come to our rescue from the industry, that how to go for the data and how to analyze it. And for that, one example I will tell you that which we have done in our Chitkara University. You know that warehouses are there. So everywhere warehouse, they store the products, and that is for the industry to do it, to store the big material with them. So we have created our in-house warehouse for the data. So where the team of people from industry are taking care of that data and how to analyze it. Reason being that when you're going for the QS rankings, when you're going for Times Higher Education rankings, when you're going for NIRF, when you're going for NAC, everywhere that data is to be used. So if you are not good at collecting the data and then analyzing the data, so for that you need somebody from the industry where they can do.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. And I'd now like to switch tracks a little bit. That's a perfect example of how data is being used outside the classroom. But it's perhaps even more important when we talk about, how is it having an impact inside the classroom on learning outcomes. And for that, Dr. Kashyap, if I can just come to you, what are some of the tools, what are some of the best practices that you are utilizing in your university, which are helping with student learning outcomes?
Yeah, thank you, Dhaval. I'll not repeat what Dr. Madhu has already covered because most of the universities are doing it in a similar way. But I'll here emphasize on a particular use case that's very close to me and that we have implemented it through our ERP. I've been a teacher since last 30 years, so at ground level, I'm very sure about what all problems students face. And especially in today's world, when we talk about NEP and when we talk about choice-based curriculum, when we talk about a specific pedagogy, So more than giving a flexibility to the students, the choice-based curriculum, multidisciplinary approach, at times they bring a lot of confusion also for the student. So this time we are doing a pilot project, and what we are trying to do is we name this particular project as a campus career modeling tool. And this we are trying to build in our own ERP. And what we try is, at the time when the students enter the campus, at the same time, we like to have input about his or her vision for the 4 years. Because every student, when he enters the campus, he's got certain dreams for himself or herself. That whether I like to go for a placement, want to be an entrepreneur, or maybe for higher studies. So this all inputs are taken, and further we dwell further, because even if you talk about placement, different students, they have different ambitions. Some are very ambitious that I like to go for maybe a 40 or a 50 lakh project placement opportunity. Others, they are not able to value themselves at that particular time, at that particular level. So after taking all these inputs, through our data tool, we'd like to model a career path for them. And now with this career path, now when we talk about in our autonomous curriculum, we have all the teaching pedagogy, we have all the multidisciplinary approach, choice-based curriculum, specialized track. Now this is our task to map this with the ambition of the students. And at the same time, while mapping, we also give every subject a particular weightage. That yes, if you want to follow a particular path, then you need to evaluate themselves, and there may be certain subjects which are having more value for a particular track, and certain other subjects may not be having that much value. So we do that at the very beginning, and then as the time goes on, for his or her 4 years of study, all the time using the dashboards, data analytical tools, you can always remind the students whether the student is on the track or there's something that he needs to do more for his particular ambition. And now, secondly, this is not a rigid path, because maybe during the journey, student may change his or her journey also. So we like to give that flexibility also. Now, initially, when we'll try to do this is only an analytical tool. We are not talking about machine learning. But maybe this is our future vision, that maybe once we are fruitful in this, we are able to collect certain data, then we can even predict something. So this is one use case that we are trying to do, which has got all data analytical dashboarding tools, as well as certain futures for machine learning.
And this is a tool that is then accessible and available, and the
This will
student
be-
works on it all the time.
Yeah, of course, this has to be a cloud based on our ERP, wherein the students can always track themselves. And as a teacher, as an evaluator, we are there to map their ambition with the curriculum or whatever approaches that we are having.
Great. All right. Rohit, you from Fortinet's perspective, now you bring in the industry perspective where, you understand how fast the industry is moving, right? And I think oftentimes one of the challenges that, the students who are graduating, coming into workforce, there's still a certain amount of training required. And I know you, along with Fortinet, run programs in collaboration with education institutes and so on. Now, could you share a little bit of light on how do you see data analytics playing an important role in, educating students, and what is it that you would like to see more from education industry perspective?
Thank you, Dhaval.
And please feel free to make it in the context of course, cybersecurity.
Yeah, certainly. So I'll put it in two fashions. I'll break the answer in two parts. I'll tell something about what's happening in the industry, first of all, and how do we associate that as part of the education framework. So in the industry, data and data analytics is typically powering the digital transformation initiatives. When we say the digital transformation initiatives, it activates the artificial intelligence and machine learning methodologies, which most of the technology organizations are taking power from. The intelligence has always been there. The data has always been there. How to efficiently and effectively utilize that is something which is drawing attention these days. Then, of course, there are various data visualization aspects which has always been into existence and actually powering the sales structure for many organizations as well as the cybersecurity framework structure for many organizations. Predictive AI has always been into existence as well. There's something which we have been talking about a lot these days is generative AI. Right. Now, generative AI is something which is adding value to a lot of simulation exercises which tries to read through the data, read between the lines, and try to predict what's going to happen in the near future. This is exactly what has been there and into existence in the cybersecurity framework. Now, how do we attach this to most of the educational framework institutions, and how this can be very, very welcoming to any educational organization for that matter? So, I would like to put this context in this fashion that generative AI or AI and ML generally reads through the same level of data patterns which have already been there into existence. Now, when a student enters a college or an institution, and when they start working on their models and beliefs, and when they do their career progression exercise for the next 4 years or 6 years, for as long as they stay in the institution, there are a lot of data forms which remain. And I see a lot of educational institutions adopting to those AI ML methodologies. Rekha ma'am, you also spoke about the same thing, and Madhu ma'am, you stressed upon these aspects. Now, these models are getting implemented within the institutions, within the organizations, which form a format of a student. A blueprint eventually gets created.
Right.
That blueprint is nothing but a framework about a student. It's a digital landscape of a student which gives some visibility of the fact that what a student believes at the start of the education program and towards the end of the program where their career progression eventually takes them to. So these are couple of aspects.
So Dhaval, I think continuing his point, when he is ending his bit from the industry side, then they came to rescue us, right? So whatever analysis they give to us, what we do as academicians, what we do, all the universities, for example, Chitkara University, what we did, so when this analysis came to us, we were able to know that this particular group of students were not good in this module, right? So you said that these 4 students were not good in AI and they were not able to understand the concept. So these are not good in ML, these are not good in this, so, right? So now we know the analysis of this, given it to us by you. So for that, we have collaborated with the Harvard Business School online programs. We have got the platform from LinkedIn Learning. We are talking to the Deacon Online because we have a 2+2 program with them. So taking those platforms, wherever they were weak, they were not able to do the justice in the classroom situation, because in classroom, there are mixed ability students. So teacher is teaching according to the average ability, right? So for what happens to the below average and what happens to the above average, nobody knows. So what they are doing in the class. So using these things, these data points which is coming to us, so we use these platforms to make them understand that how these things.
Wonderful. And in fact, that brings me to another point which we were just discussing a little while back, which is, I'm assuming that, since you are collaborating so much with industry, one of the things that has really helped is NEP 2020, right? And it's been an enabler. I'm sure everybody has their own view and so on, but if you could perhaps shed some little bit of light on, how Chitkara University has sort of captured that and really brought it into the curricula and really leveraged.
I think not only Chitkara, but all the universities and the colleges sitting here is a buzzword now, and it has become a, you can say, the religious space for us to talk about National Education Policy 2020.
But I ask because, I think there are certain success stories and, there are institutes that have done it successfully.
Yes.
But there's still a lot of exploration because it's recent. It's
so
only
what
3-4 years old.
So we took one vertical of NEP. Yeah. So National Education Policy 2020 came after 34 years of existence, and that was also National Education Policy. But this is the only difference is that it is going to all the stakeholders, and the industry, the parents, all the stakeholders knows about NEP. Right. So it is now Gita and Quran become for everybody कि सबको पता होना चाहिए NEP, even the parents know. So from these, all the verticals of NEP, we took one, which we did religiously, and it's a great success story. They said that 25% of the professors can be, you can take those mentors from the industry. Now, for example, AI ML, my professor who did PhD in computer science 20 years back. I am a teacher for the last 48 years, and when I studied, I did Pascal, Photon, COBOL. So now nobody, I think now the new generation will laugh. When I say कि मैंने तो इसमें किया था, वो कहते मैम कुछ नहीं आता आपको फिर. So I am very happy listening that I don't know anything. Because they know better than us, and 90% of the teachings which we all are doing, they are sitting in the class, and I think one of the speakers said कि वो physically are in the class for the 75% attendance, mentally they are outside the class because they know better than us, and it's a real fact, right? So what we did, that 25% of the professors were allowed by the industry, so we actually took 25% from the industry. They are in our campus, they took sabbatical from there, and it was allowed by the industry also, and they are actually teaching the students. Now you see the change, because they know it's not important that they should be PhD, it's not important they should be MTech, but they know that particular module. So they will teach, and then the result will be well known, that they will be groomed better than the academician.
And generally, is our industry, are they aware of and alive and understand anything?
Yes, now the industry also knows.
They're starting to.
Yes, they have started coming, and they're coming to our rescue. So our teachers are also very happy. The best part is, our professors, those who were not good in that particular module, and they themselves said that we will sit in the class. Whether that industry guy is of 25 years age and my teacher is 45 years, they're very happy and they're very open. They said it's very good for us, and it is so they become the buddy for the industry guy, and it is a win-win for all the verticals, so for the students, for the professors, and for the industry. Because they become the professors, and they're coming back to sometimes the alma mater, because 90% of those industry guys are our alumni.
Right.
So we have good connect with them, and we said that whenever you are coming to your place and you are coming nearby, please come to us, we will pay you, and it becomes, for us also, it's win-win both sides. So
Wonderful. Dr. Kashyap, I'd like to come back to, within the classroom. Ultimately, I mean, that's where the magic happens. How can data analytics be integrated into the curriculum, and, how is that playing a role in really making students, keeping them up to date with what's the latest happening?
Okay, so
if I can just add a second follow-up, which is, Gen AI is new. Is there something, and this is perhaps for both of you, but is there something on Gen AI that is being explored or is being done from a student's perspective? Would love to get your inputs on it.
So I'll answer the first question. Now, when you say what we can do at the classroom level, so using the data analytical tools, what we have implemented is the personalized learning. So for that, we have taken partnership with industry. We've got certain very wonderful industrial tools. Code Tantra is one of our partners. And using those tools, now this is both a learning as well as an assessment tool. So now at KIET, we have a way of categorizing our students as growing, gradual, growing, and gallant learners. So these are the three sets of students. This is how we demarcate our students. And now when we talk about these three sets, when it's a very difficult task for a single teacher in a classroom to address all the three students simultaneously. So for that, we have taken a tool, and what it does is that it gives us a personalized learning platform also, and more importantly, a personalized assessment tools. So we can have multiple set of questions 24/7 on the cloud platform, and depending upon the competency of the students, the assessment modules are developed. And once the students, now initially he may be a growing learner, and once he becomes gallant, then the gallant assessment tool is given to that particular student. So here we have taken the help of, and using analytics, the students are given very wonderful feedback how to go on in this particular path. So this is one way that we can give up the personalized training. And now, what was your second question?
My second portion was, in the last couple of years, we've been hearing a lot
Okay.
about Gen AI. It's a game changer. It's going to impact all industries. How do students, I'm not sure if that's even part of the curriculum yet, but I'm sure there are discussions and dialogues
Sure.
about, how can we make students Gen AI ready? Some thoughts on that.
Okay, so now when you talk about a higher education, as already discussed, when we talk about higher education, there can be three components. You can say curriculum is one of the component, teaching or learning pedagogy is another component, and infra, which talks about all my teaching, non-teaching staff, students, they are the third component. Now when you talk about Gen AI, analytics, or AI/ML, those are applicable on all three parameters. Now at what stage we can do it? As far as curriculum is concerned, of course, everyone is teaching these new technologies to the student, be it in analytics, AI, ML, or Gen AI. Now, when you talk about in the pedagogy, are we using Gen AI? Now, what do we call Gen AI? Is ChatGPT a Gen AI? Yes, ChatGPT is a Gen AI. When you talk about co-pilot assistance, wherein the student can code can have certain code generator while he is coding, that's again a Gen AI tool. Now here we have to be a bit cautious while giving those opportunities. Of course, we are giving and we are trying to give those opportunities that when you are coding, you can have certain factual, certain learning component, but certain assistance also. But this particular journey need to be gradual, when how much Gen AI can be brought into the teaching pedagogy.
Okay, wonderful. Rohit, I want to come back to you from, again, of course, the industry perspective. How can technology providers collaborate with education institutions? We spoke about there is a lot of collaboration happening. You found some success in your collaborations. What is it that leads to an ideal sort of collaboration between industry and education institutions? If you could perhaps share your thoughts on that.
So, first and foremost thing, as a technology, representative of a cybersecurity brand, we have certain share of responsibility. And as the Spider-Man also says, with great power comes great responsibility. It's very important and efficient that we come as a technology player in front of the educational institutions, because ultimately we are actually sitting on one side of the fence only, all of us. And as an educational enabler, as a technology leader, as one of the leadership CyberMedia group, when we are actually facing the dark web or the dark web creators, it is in the interest of our own self that we create a war or throw a war in front of them to make sure that we are able to contest against them. Now, answering your question, we are, as an initiative, we are making sure that we are tying up with a lot of educational institutions to extend our cyber awareness programs, wherein we tie up, we onboard most of the educational institutions to sign up with us. There are academy programs that we have introduced wherein a student can pick up the electives as part of their course curriculum and specialize on cyber framework, the security framework. Right. Now, there have always been programming languages that have always existed from multiple years. But there are very selective institutions who have started touching upon the cybersecurity elective initiatives. And we have started investing in those institutions, in those training programs wherein we train the trainers, we provide labs to institutions. There are demo labs, center of excellence which gets created inside those labs, and students, once they pass out from those educational institutions, are ready, certified, and readily available from the industry landscape on day one when they step out of the organization. These are some of the initiatives that I spoke about. As an organization, there are multiple such initiatives that we have been investing in, and we also invest in certification, certification vouchers, certification initiatives. Those are Prometric and Pearson View Center vouchers that we have we have been doing. We also tie up with AWS and Azure, wherein we try to impart common framework education programs with a lot of educational institutions as such. I hope that answers.
With great responsibility comes great power. A question for you on that. Data privacy and ethics is a very important part of anybody who's into data analytics, right? Maybe some quick thoughts from each of you, starting with you, Rohit.
Of course, data sovereignty, I would add to it, is something which has been of prime importance to any institution, be it a corporate organization or be it any educational institution as well. So, an effective utilization of data is something which is at the hands of an educational institution or a corporate governance organization, because with that data, eventually you can nowadays create a blueprint of any student. Easy profiling can actually happen, and that is something which needs serious attention. The data has always stayed, has always existed. There are a lot of tools which do exist, basis which some visualization tactics can be implemented and framework can actually be formed. Now, that is something which can be brought into an education segment, basis which a student can actually be profiled, and some bit of, references and preferences can be shared for his career progression plan.
Dr. Kashyap, very quickly on the same lines, is there any element of education where we're also teaching privacy and data ethics? Perhaps if you can touch on that.
Yeah, okay. I'll not only touch on privacy and security. See, in KIET, what we have done, maybe different from other universities, is that when we talk about this specialization track, all our specialization track are industry driven. And they are part of our 160 credit course. So wherever we talk about industry, it's not beyond 160 that we are talking about industry teaching. Within our 160 credits, we are teaching with the help of industry. So we have partnered with all the industry partners. If I talk about AI/ML, so we have partnered with IBM, and they are taking care of our complete specialization tech. Similarly, for cybersecurity also, we have cybersecurity. We have tied up with cybersecurity experts and companies, and they are teaching the entire cybersecurity track. Similarly, we have for full stack development. Similarly, we have for our cloud track also.
So you're saying that the teaching of the ethics part of it, because that's something that often India has found challenges in. In the education level, that is part and parcel of the current curricula.
It's part of the curriculum, but like here, the industry has to come to the rescue to teach the academicians, because they are mostly in touch with the latest technology. So that's how the industry and academia, we are collaborating and giving the benefit to our students.
Okay. Yeah, Rohit, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sorry. So there's one thing which I wanted to bring on the table is there's a very thin line, especially in education segment and pertaining to cybersecurity framework. There's a very, very thin line when a student decides to go which way.
Yes.
Because in cybersecurity, it's binary, it's 0 and 1.
Yes.
And mostly students at that age get excited towards the dark side of exploring the cybersecurity framework. So it's in the interest of our own business.
Right.
When we say a common contribution of business towards the society is what we basically talk about. That's one side of the contribution that we take as an initiative. And that is the very moment where a student's growth path has to be corrected and the right frame. That's what we call, in our language, we call it as certified ethical hacking. So why do we make more ethical hackers than actual hackers is something that we have to probably brush.
I think Dhaval, Rohit well said, but it is not a challenge for us. Students are smarter than us. So whatever you do in the word man, they will find out something or the other to do something notorious, right? Yeah. Because they are kids, they are students. And when we were students, we were also doing the same, right? So whatever teacher is saying sometime or the other, we will do that. So let us find out the ways and means that where our thought ends, their thought starts, right? So we have to be well versed with the latest technologies where they are doing something or the other, and they will do. So this is a challenge for us, but it becomes an opportunity to do something more, to innovate something more, which is better than that. So I think in our times, after 20 years, the technology was changing. Then time came, then 2 years it was changing. Then came that 20 days it was changing. Now I think for us it is very difficult at my age. After 20 minutes also it will change. So we have to be very connected to industry to tell them that please now do something for us. And one thing I think, Rohit, time is up, but I will just touch one point which is beneficial to all of us, that what we are doing, well said by Mrs. Kashyap, that she's saying that they are doing everything within the 160 credits. But if any program is given by the industry to us, and that module is the students are very happy to do that, let them do it, because NEP 2020 says that we have a ABC in our kitty. So ABC is not accelerator, brake and clutch, but it is academic bank of credit like a bank. So whatever extra they are doing, let them do. Because 40% of the teaching can be given online by UGC in NEP 2020, and that credit will be in their bank account, in the academic bank of credit, wherever, whenever they want to use it, maybe for placements, maybe for higher studies, those will be accumulated in their credit and they can use anytime, anywhere. So I think that is a great benefit to us, where we can take the help of industry to do some programs which are over and above our credits. So that can be because some students are very above average. So they know better than us, so let them do. So they can do online also. So let it be in the credit, and when they are going for the higher studies or even going for the other countries globally, so those credits will be in our credit.
Ma'am, I think those are some great closing thoughts. Very quickly, do we have time for questions in the... All right, okay. Sorry, I had so many questions, but I think, all the speakers will be around if you want to connect with them after this session. With that, so...
Dr. I think he really wants
Okay,
to
one question. One question.
Very interesting panel, and the topic itself, when we talk about integrating data and analytics into education, when we are talking at the higher education level with the scale which we are working, scalability is going to be a very challenging issue when you are talking about analytics or even integrating the data. So how panels see the solutions and how seamlessly we can work on the scalability of integration of analytics and data.
I think this will require another 40-minute session. But maybe if we can
have a
each
quick or
give
separately we can.
one line.
If I can answer in just one.
Please.
See, if
One
we talk about, we were doing in-house certain things.
Yeah.
But when we talk about scalability, we have to move to a cloud-based solution. So that's how we are moving. So whenever we want to scale, we are moving to a cloud-based solution.
I think actually to that, my question would be that, the cloud part is probably a little simpler, but how do you get the mindset right for a data-driven organization, both outside the classroom and inside the classroom? I don't know if that's...
1 second. I think that is a challenge. You must have seen that. So for all of us, the challenge is that when we are doing the data and storing the data, and when we are analyzing, the administrative team says something different, data analyzed differently, academic team is doing the same data differently, and the infrastructure team is doing the same data differently. So it's a challenge for us, and that challenge, I think we all are very open to take the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd really like to thank the panel. With that, over to you.
Thank you so much, panelists. I think data and AI
Thanks.
have always been
That was awesome.
challenging, and the discussion also was as challenging and informative.